What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Realms of Metal. Eddie here, back with you from my happy place, my metal room here in the woods in PA. And let's talk a little Dying Fetus today. We're going to review the new Dying Fetus record, Make Them Beg for Death. I've had it for since the middle of last week, and I've listened to it in nonstop. And let's talk about it. Before we do that, just a little bit of history on Dying Fetus. Formed in 1991 by John Gallagher and Jason Netherton, who later would end up leaving the band and forming Misery Index. They were from Greater Upper Marlboro, Maryland, which is south of Baltimore, and I believe they may be based out of Baltimore now. But they play a style of death metal. It's death metal and grindcore. They call it death grind, but they incorporate a lot of different styles in their music. Like it's death metal, it's grindcore. They get technical at times, they get really groovy at times, they're brutal at times. Like they just bring a lot of things to the table. And it's a band that I've been a fan of from the beginning. And it's so awesome to see how they've evolved from like purification through violence all the way up till this record, Make Them Beg for Death. So I'm really excited to be talking about this record. So Dying Fetus is a three-piece. You've got John Gallagher on vocals and guitar. You've got, and he's an original member. You've got Sean Beasley on bass and vocals. He's been in the band since 2001, and his first record was Stop at Nothing. Great record. And then you've got Trey Williams on drums, who's a fucking absolute beast. He's been in the band since 2007, and his first record was 2009's Descent into Depravity. Let's get into the record. Make Them Beg for Death, the ninth full length from Dying Fetus on Relapse Records, released September 8th, 2023. 10 tracks in total. It clocks in at about 37 minutes and 29 seconds. Produced by Steve Wright, mixed by Mark Lewis. Cover art by Daniel McBride. Let me pull up that cover art here for you guys. It's so fucking awesome. And here we go. Cover art. So there's 10 tracks. They did videos for Compulsion for Cruelty, Unbridled Fury, and Feast of Ashes. Let's get into the tracks. First track is Enlightened Through Agony, clocks in at 3:28. Awesome fucking opener, hits you really hard. It's fast. At around 2:54, there's like this groove, and it closes the track. There's no solo on it, but it's a fitting opener. It sets the tone for the rest of the record. Track 2, Compulsion for Cruelty. This is a highlight track for me. Clocks in at 4:37, which is the longest track on the record by like a second to the next one. Opens with this kind of technical arrangement. In 21 seconds, it goes into the first verse with a really nice fucking groove. 2:05, you transition to this really fucking sick groove. It's one of the things that Dying Fetus does so well, that they groove when they're in their tracks. 3 minutes goes into another groove, but it's very short, and it ends on that. Another one, no solo on that track. Third track is Feast of Ashes, clocks in at 4:36, opens kind of with like a mid-paced riff, and it goes right into the first verse. 42 seconds, you get a groove with like a technical arrangement. Like that's a highlight part of the record for me. I love that part. Another at 150 goes into another groove. 2:39, you get your first solo of the record, which is really good. I wish they would do more solos on this record. There's only a couple. The solos that they do are really good. But this is one of the only ones you're going to get on Feast of Ashes. But it's a fucking good solo. And it ends on like this squeal, kind of like Gary Holt does. I listen to a lot of Exodus. The end of that solo, the way the guitar squeals, and you'll know what I mean when you hear it. Very Gary Holt-ish. Sounds like Gary Holt to me. You guys let me know what you think, but I love it. 3:46. Another groovy part, killer track, another one of my favorite tracks on the record, Feast of Ashes. Fourth track is Throw Them in the Van. The shortest track on the record clocks in at 141. This is just a punchy fucking killer track. Very fast, short. It reminds me of like a Cannibal Corpse track a little bit, musically and lyrically, if you look at the lyrics to it. Uh, no solo on this track. I felt like if any track could have used a solo on this record, it's Throw Them in the Van. It's so fast. And I was like waiting for like a blistering solo. And I was like anticipating it and I never got it, so I really felt that track could have used a solo, but it's still a really great track. I think a shredding solo could have put that right over the top. Still one of my favorite tracks on the record. Number 5, you got Unbridled Fury, clocks in at 331. Opening hits hard. At 124, you got this like kind of guitar note that John kind of bends down a little bit. Really sick. Then goes into a groove. 233, you get this really cool technical arrangement that he does. And then Unbridled Fury, it goes into the best groove on this fucking record. That's around the 254 mark. It's almost like a hardcore breakdown. You could picture them playing that, and the fucking place is a fucking madhouse. Really amazing kind of groovy breakdown there on Unbridled Fury. Puts that track over the top. And no solo on that, but still doesn't really need it. It's an amazing track. Track 6, When the Trend Ends, clocks in at 331. Opens with kind of a mid-paced riff, picks up at 106. Then at 136, you get this groove that goes into the next verse. At 323, you kind of get this pause where there's nothing, and then goes into a groove to close the track. Sick part. Again, no solo on this track. Number 7, Undulating Carnage, another one of my favorites on the record. Punchy opening, gets really fast. At 2 minutes, there's a great part. You get another one of those Gary Holt type of riffs, Then it goes into like a sick groove. At 328, you get the second solo of the record, and that's the last one you get. And that solo goes until about 3:45. Great track, Undulating Carnage. Number 8, you got Raised in Victory, Raised in Defeat. So that's like Raised in Victory, and then like Raised in Defeat, like Destroyed in Defeat. Opens with a solid riff. 37 seconds in, gets really groovy. It's another really fast track. Good track. No solo on that one. 9, you got Hero's Grave, clocks in at 341. Opens with this kind of short intro lead guitar part. I wouldn't call it a solo, but this kind of lead guitar part arrangement. 223, you get a really nice groove. Good track, punchy track. Again, no solo on that. And 10, you got Subterfuge, and that clocks in at 418. And no, it's not a Violence cover. Opens with this cool kind of guitar arrangement, and really good. 253, grooves into the verse. No solo on that, and really a fitting closer. So 10 tracks. You're not going to be skipping any tracks on this record. Like every track is good. My favorite tracks, I got 5 5-star tracks on this. Compulsion for Cruelty, Feast of Ashes, Throw Them in the Van, Unbridled Fury, and Undulating Carnage. 5 killer fucking tracks. And the other 5 are still really good tracks, so every track is good. I love this record to death. My favorite of the year was Cattle Decapitation's Terracite. And I like this record just a little bit more than that. I do. Like, that was my front runner for the year so far. And this is probably going to be my front runner moving forward for the rest of the year, unless something like blows me out of the water. But like, the production on this record is great. The guitars sound great. The drums sound great. All the instruments sound amazing. John's vocals are sick as fuck, as always. You got riffs galore. Trey's drumming is insane. Like, that guy is just unbelievable. I like listening to this record just to listen to his drumming, and I can't say that because I just, the first thing I think of when I put on a record is you think of, the guitars and the vocals, and then like the drums are kind of in the background, but not with Trey, man. Like he's like I pay attention to him. Like he's worth paying attention to. Um, they're a three-piece, but they sound like they're a five-piece. Like they got this full sound, real thick guitar tone, like really, really good stuff. And they've had that for a while. To me, like Dying Fetus is kind of a super group. Like I wouldn't rather have any other guy on any instrument but the three guys that are there now. And I'm serious about that. They're three of my death metal heroes, and I wouldn't change anything right now, for nothing. Three amazing musicians. Only two solos on the record. I'd like to have more. If you watch my reviews, I like solos. I like listening to solos and hearing those, and it makes a good song sound great, and it makes a great song amazing. If a good solo can put a track right over the top. But that said, it doesn't really need it, but I would have liked more personally. Like that's like my one con for this whole record is I need more solos. I anticipated this record for a while, and like there's nothing better than anticipating a new record from a band that you love, and then you get that record and it's everything you could have hoped it would be. Like that's what I have here. Like I just feel great about it. Like it's everything that I wanted, and probably a little bit more. So I'm giving it a solid 9 out of 10. And I also gave Terracite a 9 out of 10, but I like this one a little bit more. And go out and pick this record up. Here's the hard copy. I don't know if you can see the hype sticker. Now, actually comes with stickers too. I feel like when you get a new record like this, it should come with a download. Like I had to download it separately. I had to pay for an extra download so I could put it on my MP3 player, which, kind of sucks. Like if you're going to buy a record, like a vinyl, give a download card with it for Christ's sakes, right? Like Metal Blade is really good with stuff like that, putting download cards in their vinyls. I think that they probably should have included a download card with this, but it's no big deal. I don't mind supporting the band one bit. So I have the record, and I actually bought the digital copy too. So like I said, 9 out of 10, probably my favorite record of the year. If I had to rank it in their discography, and I thought about this for a little bit anyway, I'd probably rank this number 2. I would definitely put Reign Supreme number 1. And this has a lot of Reign Supreme vibes on it. Like it reminds me of Reign Supreme a lot. I think that's why I like it a lot, or as much as I do. I think Reign Supreme for me is number 1. Make Them Beg for Death is number 2. And probably number 3 for me would probably Stop at Nothing. 4 would be Destroy the Opposition. And 5 would be Wrong One to Fuck With. That would just be my top 5. But that said, you listen to the record. You guys let me know what you think. I'm loving every second of it. It hasn't left my turntable. I've probably spun it, close to 20 times since I got it. So this was going to be a quick one. Hail Dying Fetus. Thanks for hanging with me on the Realms of Metal. Ant and I will see you guys again really soon. Have a good day.